A Cheyenne motel is robbed this morning. Cheyenne police responded to this Super 8 motel.
This here is a crawl space where the exterminators come in. They inspect the area for any pests, and if they find anything, they let the owner know, and from there, design a plan of attack.
Take a look at your kitchen. How would you score if the health inspector were grading it like a restaurant's kitchen? A new study reveals about 14% would get a failing grade.
This is a 130-foot self-supporting tower. Below me underground is 40 yards of concrete.
It's Hoda Kotb, and she joins us to talk about her new book, among other topics. Thanks so much for speaking with us today, Hoda.
Hello, Britni.
Weighing about 55,000 pounds, this is the gearbox that's placed inside the wind turbines. Of course, I had to send meteorologist Joe Hansel outside. He can't be in the nice warm studio. He needs to experience this winter day for himself right outside. You look pretty cold out there, Joe.
Scuba diving's all about the equipment. Right now, I'm wearing about $1,500 worth of gear.
I have a Casper artist joining us this afternoon. Her name is McDonald, so we share the same last name. That must be good, right?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy reading.
It kind of depends on the book.
It's just that I don't really read. At my house, I don't have a lot of books, and I always go online a lot.
In a world of technology, students today need more motivation to sit down with a book. A 2010 Scholastic study found that students ages 9 to 17 are 90% more likely to finish a book that they choose.
If I get to read a book that I want to read instead of reading a book that a teacher has assigned you to read, I think it's a lot easier to actually just sit down and do it when you want to read it yourself.
If I'm forced to read, I don't necessarily want to do it. I like reading more if I choose it.
While most students say they go online for schoolwork and research, when it comes to reading, they'd rather pick up one of these.
I'm on the computer all the time, usually at school, and my eyes are usually strained from that, so just being on the ebook would probably not interest me as much.
Like Allison, 66% of students in the Scholastic study said they would rather read from a book than a computer screen, but 57% say they are interested in reading a book online.
It would definitely be something new, and at first it'd be pretty exciting to read. I mean, it'd be kind of a cool experience.
While the internet provides students with more research opportunities, it also provides access to a lot of inaccurate information. This is when the sole use of computers for schoolwork becomes a problem, with the study finding that 39% of students think everything they read online is correct.
I usually just go off of what the internet says because it's usually a lot faster and it's simpler. You can learn a lot of stuff on computers.
Using laptops in classrooms allows students to multitask while doing schoolwork, going quickly from one side to another. But some admit that it can be a distraction. In fact, many schools in Wyoming block certain sites like Facebook for this reason.
I think all students do that when they don't really feel like working. They go look at like Wild Preps or something for football. And I know I do it sometimes.
I usually try to stay focused and finish my assignment, but sometimes I venture off.
Yeah. Whether a student enjoys reading or not, their definition of reading has changed. 1 out of 4 kids surveyed in the study consider texting reading. However, students in Wyoming don't agree.
It's not a big sentence or anything, it's just little, and when you text, some people spell words like different and shorter. I think it would be more socializing. You're not really learning anything.
In this struggling economy, fewer people can afford a brand new car and are looking for ways to make their current vehicles last longer. One way to do this is to replace the engine.
It's a pretty major expense nowadays to go out and buy a new car, a new truck, compared to remanning your engine that has broken your car, compared to a $2,000 or $3,000 bill to have your engine replaced to that of a $40,000 new vehicle. A lot of people will opt to rebuild it.
Auto Dynamics in Casper refurbishes old engines so they run like new.
The shop itself will cycle somewhere around 8 to 10 engines a day. You're probably talking 12 to 15 hours from the time it rolls in. It's disassembled, completely machined and reassembled.
There are thousands of engines brought in from all over the country, mainly from salvage yards. This is where they're stored before being remanufactured, so it's actually a process of recycling.
The materials that an engine actually makes considered to be toxic and what have you, it's becoming a greater issue that we salvage as much of it and reuse it as we can.
Each engine is completely disassembled to the point where there's nothing left but bare castings. It is then cleaned and distributed through machine shops where parts are replaced and made new again. The engine is then reassembled and ready for sale.
If your car breaks down, you want it back as soon as possible. This enables the installer to come to us, get the engine, get it in that vehicle as soon as they can, to get that person back down the road, as quick as possible.
When everything is stripped away, this is the engine of your car, and this is what it looks like when it's running.
We're a society that buy new all the time, when we really need to start thinking about saving what we have. And the recondition of engines is a start. Using that vehicle longer is a start.
A Sheridan County boy receives an Outstanding Citizen Award from the local sheriff's department for turning in a loaded pistol he found. Members of the sheriff's office honored Joshua Thaler, a fourth grader at Ranchester Elementary, on Wednesday. Sheriff Dave Hoffmeyer says 9-year-old Joshua was riding his bike in Dayton last month when he saw what he thought at first was a toy gun. But when he picked it up, he realized it was too heavy to be a toy, so he took the gun to a man nearby. The man found the 9mm pistol's magazine was loaded with 5 rounds. The man unloaded the gun and called the sheriff's department. Efforts to find the gun's owner have been successful. A new study says increases in salaries for professors at the University of Wyoming aren't keeping pace with the national average. Professor salaries at UW increased 0.4% over the last 2 school years. Well, waking up to the blare of a train isn't exactly soothing, and the Wyoming Department of Transportation plans to develop some quiet zones. Speaking of that snowfall, Yellowstone National Park had fewer visitors this winter because of it. The number of visitors to the park from December 2010 through March 2011 was down more than 5% from the winter before. Fewer than 89,000 visitors came to the park this winter compared to nearly 94,000 the winter before. The number of visitors who came by auto, bus, and RV through the park's northern entrance was down nearly 12% compared to the same period a year ago. Snowmobilers, though, loved the increase with the snow because their numbers were slightly up this year. Now, after this mission, Discovery will be retired. So what's next for the shuttle itself? Do you know anything about that? We're getting back to my New England roots today with a fish chowder. Now, I'm going to be a pretty harsh critic, Nancy, but if anyone can make it delicious, maybe to give New England some competition. It's Nancy Waite from Grand Street Grocery, right?
Yes.
I actually got this one in the mail. I went to your MASH party.
You did go to my MASH party.
We did a special segment on it, too, kind of showing how you can do parties based on TV themes, and it was super fun. So it was cool to actually see one of your parties in action, because we always talk about them on the show here. I just feel like going to a party.
Absolutely.
But first you got to send out the invitations and do it this way. Because who doesn't love getting mail? I love getting mail, especially when it's fun, something like that.